Welcome, a warm welcome to anyone joining us from around the world. We are here on the grid for the TCR Eastern Europe Race 2 here at the Slovakia ring, and I can just feel a couple of drops of rain falling from the sky, which definitely will make this race very interesting. The top 9 drivers have been reversed, of course, for this grid since there is the race 1 results, and therefore race winner Macho Homola from yesterday starting from 9th, with Attila Bucsi starting in 8th position, and on the top of the standings it's Radim Adamek, the driver for Aditis Racing, chasing not only his first podium but of course his first race win as well, with David Kajaya in 2nd and the 2 Cupras of Vichmaker and Peter Cizek in the 3rd and 4th position. We're getting asked to leave the grid, so we'll see you later in the commentary booth to commentate this beautiful race here from Slovakia ring. here we are then for the second race of TCR Eastern Europe here at the Slovakia ring, the 5.9-kilometer circuit hosting round 3 of the season. And here is the starting grid with the 9 top drivers from race 1 in reversed order. It's Radim Adamek going for his first ever podium and race win in the series, with David Kajaya, who is missing out on the podium since last year's races here at the Slovakia ring. Vít Šmejkal and Petr Čížek, the two Cupras and teammates for Express Auto Race Club, in 3rd and 4th position, with Zarko Knego and Martin Kazaličík making up the 3rd row. Yesterday's podium finisher with Jiří Zbožínek in 7th and Attila Bucsi in 8th, with race winner from Saturday and championship leader Macho Homola in 9th. Ivans Valers starts from 10th position on the grid, the Audi just missing out on the reverse grid order. A little bit unlucky from the Audi driver, and right behind him then we will have René Kierke, Adam Cote, who of course was fighting for a podium yesterday before a technical failure made him retire from the race with only 5 minutes to go, with Giacomo Germandi in the new Honda Civic FL5 and Jordan Dolichka rounding out the grid here with 14 drivers ready to pounce and ready to give us a spectacle and a great day of racing. It was very interesting yesterday to see Macho Homola start to pull away in the first half of the race before Attila Bucsi, perhaps with better tyre wear and better race strategy, came back in the second half. But unfortunately, he just came short of attacking Macho Homola one more lap, and Bucsi would have had a real chance of winning the race. But it's the Slovakian driver, the hometown favorite, who was able to claim victory and extend his championship lead to 12 points over Attila Bucsi, who is still in the perfect range to attack. And they both start in outside of the top 7. Bucsi is 8th and Homola is 9th, which is definitely going to be interesting to see. And in front, it's going to be Altis Racing with Radim Adamek, looking for his first ever win in TCR Eastern Europe. Same as the driver starting directly behind him, Vít Šmejkal, in the Cupra Leon Competición TCR car. Between them, David Kajaya, a race winner last year and on the podium in both races at the Slovakia ring, 2nd in race 1, 3rd in race 2 in 2023. Can he go one step better and win the 6th race of the season in 2024? The stage is set, the drivers are ready, the lights are coming up, and it's lights out and away we go. And it's a brilliant start from David Kajaya, who looks to be already in 1st position. Look at Macho Homola as well, together with Adam Cote, trying to make some inroads with the Yannick Motorsport cars, whereas into turn 1 it's going to be the Metal Motorsport Honda of David Kajaya leading the way, with Radim Adamek in 2nd position, with Attila Bucsi around the outside of Zarko Knego towards turn 1. And we see a phenomenal move by the Hungarian, who looks to be already up into 4th position. Yes, he is. Towards turn 2 we go, and Martin Kazaličík looks to have lost quite a bit of time compared to his rivals. He was starting in 6th, but looks to have lost a couple of places. Here we go towards turn 3, and it's Attila Bucsi down the inside of one of the Cupras. That's for 3rd position against Vít Šmejkal, who's also been attacked by Macho Homola, who has done a terrific job. And I think Attila Bucsi has already climbed up to 2nd position, hasn't he? Yes, he has, with Macho Homola going around the outside. Look at the pace difference between the top runners and the guys right behind them. And Macho Homola already up to 3rd, with Bucsi up to 2nd, with David Kajaya disappearing into the distance. Phenomenal job from both Bucsi and Homola, basically nullifying the disadvantage that they had coming into the race, starting from 8th and 9th respectively. What a start from David Kajaya as well. He is now up into 1st, and with a healthy lead over what are definitely the 3 fastest drivers of the championship so far, with Adam Cote following closely his teammate Macho Homola, who was also racing in the 1 hour endurance GT race yesterday, finishing in second place in class with his KTM GTX. And now back into his preferred machinery, the TCR Hyundai Elantra that saw him claim the title last year. Here we go. Start of lap 2, it's David Kajaya in first position with Attila Bucci in second, then Macho Homola and Adam Coate following closely behind, as we have another fight between another car of the Yannick Motorsport team, and that's of course the third entry of Jiris Božinek, third yesterday. He's trying to fight against Ivan Valers and Zarko Knego. As we see the drivers making their way towards turns 2 and 3. The two teammates of Radim Adamek and Martin Kadlecic fighting for 5th place, the latter seemingly having the upper hand after his opening lap. And down the inside now goes the number 8 car of René Kircher on the Cupra of Schmeichel, and it's Kircher who gets the job done up into 7th. He was fighting for a top 5 finish yesterday before dropping in the standings due to a mistake that saw him eventually finish outside of the top 10. But now he is back stronger than ever, currently holding what looks to be 7th place, as now Mr. Božinek is up the inside of Zarko Knego, as the Croatian is trying to fight his way to the points, to the top 10. Here you can see the leading pack with David Kajaya being caught by both Attila Bucci and Macho Homola. Should I say also by Adam Coate as well, as the other Yannick Motorsport driver is basically attached to his teammate's rear bumper as they go towards turns 13 and 14 to finish yet another lap. Two different Hyundais, the i30 driven by Attila Bucci, the older model of the brand from South Korea, and of course the Elantra being the new car that has been introduced for at least a couple of years now, and that has won also on the world stage in TCR World Tour. But here Yannick Motorsport trying to go once again to the top step, perhaps with Macho Homola, possibly with Adam Coate as well. And the three drivers have definitely caught the back of David Kajaya, who has always been very quick around here. A 2nd and a 3rd place finish in 2023. Of course, on his way to 4th in the final standings. 2 of the 5 podiums that he collected in 2023 came here at the Slovakia ring. He has definitely the TCR experience that he needs to fight for this race win. Raced internationally as well as in the Middle East, which is definitely what shaped him to be the driver that he is today, and he's going to need some impeccable defensive driving if he wants to keep Attila Bucci, Macho Homola and Adam Coate behind to finish on the podium once more, exactly a year after his final appearance in the top 3. "90 minutes on the dot to go." The first 6 minutes have flown by. Of course, let's not forget the rain possibly coming in the next few minutes. It's not scheduled to rain as hard as it would need to have a wet track, but of course, even the slightest drops of rain could worsen the conditions. As now David Kajaya makes his way through the 2nd lap of the race, still leading with his Merten Motorsport car. His teammate René Kircher up to 7th. But here the fight for 1st position looks to be ready to start, as Attila Bucci uses all the slipstream offered by David Kajaya as he will likely move to the outside towards turn number 1. Can Bucci outbrake Kajaya? The answer looks to be no, but of course the switchback is always on, especially in the first sector here at the Slovakia ring, with Kajaya now all the way to the inside, trying to defend from Bucci. This could possibly help Macho Homola as well. Coming back towards the fight for the race lead, and slightly wide goes Attila Bucci. He's pushing to the limit to try and find a gap to move into first, as Macho Homola had a look up the inside of the Hungarian, but of course he knows better than to rush and move like that. He knows when a move it's on and when it isn't, thanks to his huge experience, of course, also on the world stage in a WTCC. And let's not forget, he is the reigning champion here in TCR Eastern Europe. And you can see now the top 4 drivers with a slight lockup from David Kajaya, perhaps the pressure getting to the Georgian driver, as behind them Martin Kadlecic is definitely trying to close things up and get back to the fight for the podium places. He stalled on the grid yesterday, let's not forget, which was definitely not the way he wanted to go about things, but he was able to recover up until 4th position. Trying to go one better today, finish on the podium once again. Here we are with Bucci having a look at the inside into turn 13, waiting for the right moment. You can see just how the car pitches down, with the front almost scraping the asphalt as the heavy braking forces do their job. Bucci always the latest on the brakes. Here we go, start of lap number 5, as Bucci uses his slipstream once again, perhaps darting to the outside last minute also to defend from Macho Homola. Slight lockup from Bucci, which could leave him vulnerable to Macho Homola, and he now needs to protect the inside, as Adam Cote is also very close. He goes to the inside. Attila Bucci on the grass, forcing his way through on David Kajaya, and what a spectacular move from the Hungarian. No love lost between the two of them, but gutsy move from the Mira Motorsport driver, who is now up to the leader race, and through goes Attila Bucci into first position ahead of David Kajaya. And now Bucci can perhaps build a bit of a gap between himself and his main rival Macho Homola, to at least return the favor from race 1, where it was Homola who got the race win, and the 7-point gap between himself and Attila Bucci. Before the current round of the Slovakia ring, they had 2 wins each. Homola always winning race 1 and Bucci always being triumphant in race 2. Can the script be repeated once again, or will Macho Homola flip it on its head? But it's going to need an absolute masterclass, it looks like, as Attila Bucci is already off into the distance, building a big gap on David Kajaya. It's just incredible the pace that Bucci has compared to the Honda of Meta Motorsport, especially in the tight corners. The older model of the Hyundai is still especially competitive. We saw that also in other series, such as the Italian TCR Championship, in tracks such as Misano. But of course, here Bucci showing not only the competitiveness of his car, but of course all of his talent. Into lap 6 we go. Attila Bucci in the lead, but now David Kajaya in second position, being under attack from Macho Homola, as the hometown favorite goes up the inside, but Kajaya says no thanks, I'll keep second position for now. And look at Martin Kadlecic with the black and bright yellow Alitis Racing Audi, catching the back of Adam Cote for 4th position. And so you can see the rest of the field closed by one of the Hondas. And here you can see the fight for second, as David Kajaya is still in front of Macho Homola. Here you can see Kadlecic right to the back of Adam Coate. There's definitely a chance for Kadlecic to finish on the podium here, especially with Kajaya bunching things up between second and fifth. So a lockup from Kajaya, and here you can see a car that looks to be number 74 of Zarko Knego coming into the pits. He's unfortunately not what he wanted. Therefore, a tough race for the two-time Croatian hill climb champion, who has been making some progress in TCR Eastern Europe. Finished on the podium last year in the final race of the season in Brno. He was able to finish in the points yesterday as well. Knego currently 10th in the standings. As here you can see David Kajaya, who was able to finish in 6th as his best result of the year so far in race 1 at the Red Bull Ring. He's definitely looking for his first top 5 today. Let's see, lovely graphic telling us about the fight between Kajaya and Homola. The reigning champion needs to make a move if he wants to keep up with Attila Bucci, who has put a further second between himself and David Kajaya in the previous lap. Around the outside goes Macho Homola, locking up once again, not being able to make the move stick, but of course he has now up until turn 3 to make something happen, as Kajaya defends the inside before going back to the outside, as the rules allow him to do so. And therefore Kajaya keeps second position, and now questions starts to rise in Yannick Motorsport as Adam Coate has a look at the inside of his teammate. Let's remember that despite yesterday's retirement, Coate is still in the fight for the championship. Though we're only at round 3, anything can still happen this year. We still have 3 rounds to go, being in Most, Brno and at the Salzburg Ring, which means that there's still a long way for Adam Coate to be back into things. Therefore, there will likely be no team orders between the two Yannick Motorsport drivers, as David Kajaya is doing everything he can in his power to keep the faster cars behind, and he's doing a terrific job so far. But of course, allowing Attila Bucci to build a big gap between himself and the rest of the field. Yesterday he was so considerate with his tires, waiting for the right chance, waiting for the right moment to pounce, as he started pushing with 3.5 laps to go yesterday. Unfortunately just came short of the race win, with Macho Homola holding on to P1. Here, the champion from Slovakia needing a touch of magic to get through David Kajaya, as the Honda looks to be very competitive, especially into turn 1. Here you can see the huge gap that Attila Bucci has built in only 3.5 laps. It's 3.5 seconds between him and Kajaya for the first time, actually, since dropping to second. The Georgian wasn't under threat from Homola into turn 1. Is this a sign of good things to come for the Honda, or was it a strategical choice from Macho Homola, who knows that maybe first place is out of contention now? And now he needs to study his rival, see where he is vulnerable, maybe taking a page out of Attila Bucci's book, forcing the move up the inside. Towards turns 2 and 3 was definitely a gutsy move from Bucci, who looked like he had nothing to lose despite being in the fight for the championship. But it was
gutsy yet brilliant from the Hungarian young star. He's definitely building and making a name for himself in TCR Eastern Europe this year. He's destined to great things, isn't he, Attila Bucsi? If he keeps this up, Macho Homola will have definitely the rival that he missed last year, and that he deserves to have, to give us an incredible time here in TCR Eastern Europe. As Kajaya looks to defend the position once more with Adam Cote slightly struggling now, losing touch with the drivers in second and third, although another lockup from Homola, who is pushing to the fullest of his capacity to try and get the move stick on Kajaya. Now he's close. He's closer than ever. Macho Homola to the back of David Kajaya as the Georgian goes all the way to the inside to protect P2, as Attila Bucsi once again puts 8/10 more between himself and Kajaya, as the Georgian is through towards turn number 2, still in second position. Macho Homola right behind him as Attila Bucsi now sprints towards turn number 3. Currently leading the race and doing a phenomenal job in the past few laps to try and build a bit of a gap between himself and Kajaya. Now the gap amounting to 4.4 seconds with only 6 minutes to go. It looks to be once again going towards Attila Bucsi, second race of a weekend this season. It's curious to see how Bucsi is always the winner in race 2, whereas Kajaya and especially Macho Homola are faster in the first race, with Homola taking home 3 wins this year, every single one of them on a Saturday, whereas Bucsi has always been triumphant on a Sunday. This means that consistency will be key this season, with Homola never stepping outside of the top 4 this year. The only race where he missed out on the podium being race 2 at the Red Bull Ring, whereas Bucsi was 7th in his debut at Balaton. Starting slightly slower than his rival, and of course it's more than justified, as Bucsi was in his first ever TCR race, whereas Homola was starting his title defense campaign, as Homola is now almost pushing Kajaya through the penultimate corner as we start lap number 10. It's possibly now or never for Macho Homola, as he is incredibly close to the back of the Honda, but Kajaya is so quick on the straight and so good on the braking. They go side by side towards turn 1. Homola tries to lift up the throttle early, have a better line towards turns 2 and 3, but this has enabled Adam Cote to catch the back of his teammate's car. Can Adam Cote make a surprise move on Macho Homola, or will he be considerate and stay in 4th position? Well, it looks like he doesn't have a choice towards turn 3. It's not close enough, but I'm feeling that Adam Cote will not stand there and watch Homola as he tries to make a move for second. Right behind them, of course, it's Martin Kadlčík, and then it's René Kircher up to 6th position ahead of Jiří Zbožínek, who was 3rd yesterday, and the pair of them are catching the group for second big time, as Kircher has gained 7/10 on David Kajaya in the previous lap. It could be a potential fight between 6 drivers for the 2 remaining spots on the podium, though it will be very hard for Kircher and Zbožínek to finish in the top 3 today without any issues from the top competitors. And now with just 3 minutes to go, Attila Bucsi needs to be considerate about his options. He needs to stay calm and collected, not force it. He has the gap to lift off the throttle a bit and just enjoy the last couple of laps without taking too many risks. Of course, it's not over yet, but he has been absolutely phenomenal in this race. He's now starting what is likely to be the penultimate lap of this race. Second one at the Slovakia ring, third round of the season. We're actually going to be at the halfway stage after this race. 6 extra races done, 6 to go, with Most, Brno and the Salzburg ring being the next 3 venues. Next round being in Most between the 3rd and the 4th of August. Heat coming to Czech Republic with the TCR Eastern Europe cars. As now the 2 Yannick Motorsport drivers of Macho Homola at Adamcote desperately trying to keep up with David Kajaya, but it doesn't look like Macho Homola has the pace to make a move, as Martin Kadalicic had a look up the inside of Adamcote towards turn 3, but unfortunately for the Aditis Racing driver, there was nothing he could have done to gain a place and to move himself up to 4th position. As look at once again another lockup for Macho Homola, who is trying his best, but unfortunately as of right now that wasn't enough to take away 2nd position from David Kajaya, as he still has 1.5 laps to go in order to try to do so. It's less than a minute to go now, with Attila Bucci slowing things down ever so slightly, as I was talking about before. Doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. Knows what is at stake. David Kajaya fighting hard for 2nd position as we start the last lap of the race, and as we get a notification from race control actually that David Kajaya has been handed a 10-second time penalty for a jump start, and therefore all the hard work of the Meta Motorsport driver coming undone in the dying stages of the race, as David Kajaya will likely finish off the podium and possibly outside of the top 5, which now makes Homola effectively in 2nd and sees Adamcote on the podium. A real shame for David Kajaya. 10 seconds to be added to his final and total race time because of a jump start, which is possibly why he got such a good getaway. Didn't look like it in real time, but of course the race direction having the instruments that they need to check that thoroughly. So David Kajaya will be penalized right after the race. This doesn't take anything away from his pace and his consistency today, and of course it won't affect Attila Bucci whatsoever, as the Hungarian is looking to be ahead, whereas we had 2 cars that are stopped on track, with one of the Yannick Motorsport cars trying to read the numbers, but it's very difficult from up here. It's definitely one of the Meta Motorsport cars, and then one of the Yannick Motorsport cars, and for a second I thought it was Kajaya and Homola, but they aren't. It's Jiris Božinek and René Kircher, who were fighting for 6th position and unfortunately are now out of the race. But through comes Attila Bucci, and what a fantastic race he's had as he wins race 2 of the TCR Eastern Europe Championship here at the Slovakia ring. It's a third success for the Hungarian as he claims yet another victory, levels things up with Macho Homola, and the fight is on for the championship. It's 3-3 in the race win department between Homola and Bucsi. David Kajaya finishes in second on track, but of course a 10-second time penalty will be added to his total time for a jump start, which is definitely not what he wanted. And therefore it's Macho Homola who finishes in second position, with Adam Coate rounding out the podium. Martin Kadlecik is fourth, and David Kajaya is able to keep fifth position at least. What a shame for Iris Bozinek and of course René Kircher, the two drivers fighting hard for sixth position, but unfortunately their hard work coming undone in a contact. And here are the highlights of this race that truly had everything. Look at the race start between Adam Coate and Attila Bucsi, the latter going around the outside of turn 1 and moving himself up to second after only a couple of corners. And then a fantastic move of David Kajaya to move himself up to first. Was nothing that Macho Homola could have done to avoid a third Attila Bucsi win this year, with David Kajaya holding second position but unfortunately getting penalized for jumping the start. But it's been a phenomenal race and a phenomenal championship fight so far between Bucsi and Homola. The two now separated by just 5 points after the first half of the season. And that is all from now from us at TCR Eastern Europe. It's been a hell of a first half of the season, and we will see you guys for the next round in Most from the 3rd to the 4th of August. See you then.